My name is Maria Khan and I am associated with the Center for Peace and Spirituality. Today I will be discussing my personal journey to the spiritual path or my own discovery of spirituality. So I was born into a Muslim society, in a Muslim family. I am a born Muslim. But I can say that as I grew up, as I started developing maturity, religion ceased to satisfy me. So the kind of religion that was presented to me, the kind of Islam that was presented to me, was an Islam of do's and don'ts. Do this, don't do that, pray, fast. So I was doing all these things. But this kind of religion or this kind of spirituality did not address the innermost recesses of my being. So a time came when I almost became an agnostic. Islam did not address the deeper questions of my being, of my life. But later on, I became acquainted with the writings of the spiritual scholar Moulana Waheeduddin Sahab. I started interacting with the Moulana and I started reading his writings very deeply. And what struck me the most was that he emphasized, or rather he emphasizes and lays a lot of stress on the spirit of religion and on the wisdom contained in Islamic teachings. So a time came when I wanted answers to questions such as happiness, such as how to find success, what is happiness, such as what should be my relations with people, and questions about the higher existence, the purpose of existence, the higher purpose of existence. So for these questions, I went to the Moulana and I realized that the youth today, for example, me, I wanted a religion which was based on reason. I wanted an Islam which addressed the rational mindset which I had developed over time. So I would like to give an example. I was a physics graduate and I had done my bachelor's in physics. Now physics is about observing the natural world and arriving at conclusions based on evidence, based on proof. So I questioned the very existence of God. The fundamental belief of Islam or religion is belief in God. So I wanted to know, why should I believe in God? How does God exist? Why should I believe that there is a God? So I started reading the Quran, reading and rereading the Quran, and I realized that the Quran presents God in a very different way, in a very rational way. So I realized that the Quran throughout does not say to the reader, believe in God. It does not order the reader or does not command the reader that you have to believe in God. Rather, throughout the Quran, there is a lot of emphasis on reflection, reflecting on the natural world, pondering on the creations of the world, pondering on your own life, and all these contemplations and meditations, and then arriving at your discovery of God. So what I liked a lot about this way of presenting God was that God is supposed to be your own self-discovery through your own intellectual struggle and intellectual effort. So I think this is what the youth needs the most today. They want to know why they should follow religion or how religion will benefit them. And I found this when I discovered the writings of the scholar Moulana Waheeduddin Sahab. So spirituality, according to me, is to lead life with wisdom and according to higher ethical principles. So as Jesus Christ once said that man cannot live by bread alone. Now to me this means that a human being has two sides to his personality. One is the physical side and the other is the spiritual or the intellectual side. So what we often do is that we keep focusing on the physical or the material side of our personality. We keep nourishing our body by providing it physical food. but at the same time we have to nourish our spiritual side by providing spiritual sustenance to our personality. So how do we do that? So there are a lot of people, I came across many books and many writings and many authors who advocate the view that you have to renounce completely the material world and you have to go into seclusion, such as into the jungles, and you have to abandon everything that is around you which is materialistic. But this concept of spirituality, this renunciation, a complete renunciation of the world, does not address me. To me, spirituality, as Moulana explained, is to live in the material world, to face all kinds of situations in the material world and discover spiritual lessons from those material events. So spirituality is a kind of conversion, converting material or physical events into spiritual lessons for yourself. So I'd like to give an example. We all love trees. We beautify our homes with trees, and a tree is a very common phenomena which all of us see around us. We walk on the road and the most obvious thing that we see is a tree or a plant. But what does the tree teach us, and what should we learn from the tree? If we see the tree, we will realize that tree is a kind of a unilateral giver. The tree gives us oxygen, which is life sustaining for us. The tree gives us shade, the tree gives us fruits, and it gives us flowers. More than that, a tree provides space for the birds to come and perch. So it adds a lot of beauty to the world. So one of the very important principles that we learn from the tree, which man can learn from the tree, is to be a giver person of the society. Don't be a taker from the society, but be a giver. Similarly, if we see, there are many more examples in the natural world. Often people question why they should follow the spiritual path. So once I was attending a lecture or a workshop on personality development in the Delhi University. So the speaker spoke a lot about positive aspect of things. For example, he quoted a verse of the Quran which says, "Do good deed in return for bad deed, and you will see that your enemy has become your dearest friend." So there is this principle in Islam called unilateral ethics, that don't do good only if people do good to you. Do good even if people do bad to you, even if they harm you, even if they wrong you. So this is a principle of unilateralism which Islam stands on. So a person, a young boy from the audience, he got up and he said, "Why should I follow this principle of unilateralism? And why should I remain positive?" He questioned it. He said, "Why shouldn't I give vent to my anger? Why should I not give expression to my resentment? Why should I not talk about it with people and dwell on it?" So this question of this person set me thinking, and I realized that when you are being positive and when you are following the principle of unilateral ethics, you are doing something which is beneficial to your own self. Because research shows us that positivity is very good for the individual concerned. Because when you are positive, studies show your brain performs at a very high level. So your positive brain can perform better than your negative brain. Your intelligence rises, your creativity rises, and your energy levels rise. So when you're being positive, when you're doing good, when you're being compassionate and you're being well-wishing to other people, you are not doing an act of charity on others merely. You're actually doing something that is good for your own self. This is something that will ultimately give you inner peace and tranquility and contentment. So this also brings me to happiness. People often say how to find happiness. And happiness is ultimately contentment. Because if you go after the material world and if you go after material accomplishment, your mind will constantly be stressed out and constantly be tensed. But if you are a spiritual person, if you have a spiritual bent of mind, even if you face material losses, you will try to extract spiritual learning from it. So I'll give an example of the birds. There is a anecdote that when storms come, then there are certain birds which have very strong winds. So what they do is that they rise high above the storm and they are saved from the storm. So this anecdote has given rise to the saying called big bird of the storm. So a person who is a spiritual thinker is a person who has high thinking, and he becomes a big bird of the storm when he faces challenges, and he looks at them as challenges. He does not look at them as difficulties. Rather, he tries to apply his creativity and solve those problems. So I think this is what ultimately gives you happiness. Happiness is not something which somebody else gives you from outside. It's not something that is given to you on a platter. It is your own management of the situation, your own thinking that gives you happiness. I would like to give an example from my life. There is a huge problem that I face personally, and my husband would agree. I am a very angry person, and maybe the reason for my anger is that I am very sensitive. So if anything happens which is against my way of thinking or against the principles that I hold important, then I flare up. So that is a huge issue that I face constantly. So I take a lot of offense. So this offense taking is a big problem that I face personally. So I once went to the Moulana, and I have interacted with the Moulana on this, and he gave me a super formula on how I can deal with this angry nature of mine. So he said in one sentence, do not allow anyone to dictate to you. And he explained to me, he said that if suppose someone makes you angry for whatever reason, big or small, if someone makes you angry and you get angry and you get provoked, that means you are taking dictation from that person. He was making you angry and you got angry. So he was dictating to you and you accepted his dictation. So he said that the best way of leading life in society or in the midst of people is don't allow anyone to dictate to you. If somebody is provoking you, don't get provoked. If somebody is making you angry, don't get angry. There is a phenomena which we are observing in our world today, and that is more and more youth have become atheist. But along with this, there is another phenomena that is parallelly being observed, and that is these atheist youth are turning to spirituality. They want meaning in their life. They want something higher. So I think spirituality is very important because spirituality serves an inner purpose of your life. There's an inner yearning in every human being to want to associate with a higher cause, to want to associate with a higher being, with a higher purpose in life. So I think spirituality fulfills that purpose. And I can say that in my own life I have experienced it. Because before turning to spirituality and before associating myself more deeply with religion and with the cause of serving society for the good, I was like a person who would lead life in a very material way. So I would wake up in the morning, I would do my work and read something, go out, meet somebody, and then come back and sleep. So I think my life had become a very robotic life, and that robotic life and that materialistic culture has its limits, because even if you have all the material accomplishments, for example, I was leading a life of luxury, I was leading a life of all kinds of comforts, I had all material attainments, but still internally I was dissatisfied. I was looking for something more, something higher than myself. And I think that is what spirituality serves. It is a kind of a complement to your nature. I mean, your nature remains unfulfilled unless you associate yourself with some cause, with some spiritual cause or a religious cause, or a cause such as serving the society. And merely doing good to somebody is something which is deeply fulfilling, and you can experience it in your own life. If you help a person, if you benefit that person, and if that person says thank you to you, it is very deeply fulfilling. So I think that is the reason why people are looking for spirituality and looking to associate with a higher cause in spite of becoming atheists, because they cannot deny their nature. Their nature wants something, and that is the reason why we need to make people more spiritually aware. And I think that is the larger goal that I have set for myself, enlightening people more and more spiritually so that they can fulfill their inner selves truly. Our organization is Center for Peace and Spirituality, and it is based in New Delhi, and we have teams all over India and even outside India. Someone has rightly mentioned that life is full of commas. There is no full stop. So we have a website, www.cpsglobal.org, and we have a Facebook page by the name of our organization and also by the name of our founder, Moulana Waheeduddin Sahab. So we are trying to convey our message to as many people as possible through social media. We are present on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. And on Facebook, if suppose you like our page, you will receive notifications. You will be able to listen to Moulana's audios and his lectures, his videos, and a lot of things on spirituality. You'll receive a daily dose of spirituality. Moreover, our method is also a very low profile method. We don't follow a high profile method of addressing crowds and big gatherings. Moulana believes in doing individual interactions. And I'll give my own example. I changed as a person. I was a person with a very negative bent of mind, and I was able to convert my mindset into a positive mindset through my daily interactions with Moulana. Even today I go to the Moulana in the evening and I receive a lot of positivity from him, a lot of guidance for my personal life and for life in general. So this is another method that we follow. Also, we are a literature-based movement. We believe that reading is very important, and reading can really change an individual. So we have over 200 books in various languages, for example, on spirituality, on global peace, on leading life with wisdom, on different issues related to life. And we believe that giving out these books to people will really help them in changing their life, in enlightening them, and in their awakening. One of the very important ways in which I am interacting with people and engaging with them is that I go to schools and colleges and institutes, and I interact with the youth, because the youth have a lot of questions and they have a very fresh way, a very fresh perspective of looking at things. So answering their questions is very important for me because it's a great learning experience for me. So interacting with the youth is mutually transforming. And for this reason, I have made a Facebook page of my own called Maria Khan. And on that Facebook page, I keep uploading short videos, 1-minute videos or 2-minute videos on various aspects of life, spirituality and religion. And often people question me on the messenger, on the Facebook messenger. And a lot of people show interest in continuing the work and joining the work which I am doing, the work of peace and the work of spirituality and spreading awareness and positivity in the world. And besides that, we also have a WhatsApp group, and we keep sending audios and short messages and quotes on WhatsApp so that people get a daily lesson on spirituality, something that awakens them on a daily basis, and they even look forward to it. So these are some of the ways in which I am trying to impart and let the message that I have go forward and convey it to more and more people. Now, what is the larger goal that I have set for myself? I believe, as the name of the organization that I am associated with, I believe peace and spirituality are two faces of the same coin. So, peace is the outward manifestation of spirituality, and spirituality is the inner expression of peace. And also, I believe that if we want to bring about peace in society at large, it is very important for us to address individual minds, because individuals are the units of society. They are the basic building blocks of society. So if we want to change the society, we will have to address individuals. We will have to address individual minds. And this is the reason why I want to meet more and more individuals. I want to interact more and more with them. I want to impart the learning that I have received from my learning and from my study to them. And I also want to learn from them and change as an individual.